Hey, what's going on, everyone? It's your boy from Reside the Bengal Dragon. Make sure to hit that like, subscribe, and bell notification buttons, as all your support really helps me remain motivated to continue making these type of videos, and also go a long way, especially supporting someone with a disability, legally blind, whatnot on YouTube. Okay, yeah, whatever. Okay, so the formalities out of the way, because come on, everyone, most of us are here on YouTube, not grow their channel. Like they make videos not to not grow their channel, but growing their channel would really help. But anyways, it's gonna be I wouldn't say a short video, but I would say a quickly produced video. Yeah, I'm gonna add some clips in and whatnot. And yeah, those are clips I've taken from YouTube. Today I'm gonna talk about the Resident Evil series. In case you guys didn't know, I used to play a lot of Resident Evil on PlayStation 1. I played the director's cut of the first one. I played the second one extensively, the Leon and Claire debut one. And I played Resident Evil 3. Oh yeah, and I played Gun Survivor as well. And Gun Survivor, you know what? Let me just get this out of the way. It was an absolute waste of software, and it was an absolute waste of everybody's time, because I had no idea what they were going for. It's just my opinion. I had no idea what they were going for, releasing a game that looked that bad and operated that poorly on the PlayStation. Okay, and if I'm not mistaken, you can't even save in the entire game, or at least I don't recall coming across a typewriter until the very end. Like after finishing the game, I was asked, like, would you like to save your progress? I'm like, you're telling me now? Anyway, so from the PlayStation days that I remember, okay, and by the way, I played most of them on rookie mode, maybe one time on normal mode, but the most fun I had was with Resident Evil 3. Because the initial horror factor, okay, the initial horror factor about, oh, there's a zombie, oh, there's a modified zombie, a zombie with a tongue, oh, you have infected crows, oh, you have infected dogs. I'm like, yeah, that worked for me in Resident Evil 2, but in Resident Evil 3, if I got the same thing, the horror factor would not be there. So they added the Nemesis, and yes, that was an absolute blast of a time that I had playing Resident Evil 3 Nemesis. And to be honest, some of the problems that they had with Resident Evil 2, like, let's say, for instance, if you are, go back and play Resident Evil 2 like how it should be played. If you interact with some stairs, it locks you into an animation, and basically that's an invincibility bubble. You can't do that in Resident Evil 3 until unless there are a big set of stairs and the game system has to load an entire pre-rendered background, or a different pre-rendered background. Like until you go into that, where like all the enemies and whatnot, they have to be reset for that specific pre-rendered background. You don't get that invincibility bubble. Here you can basically just, this is just one of the changes. You can easily run up and down stairs and shoot, also attack from up and down stairs, or while standing in the middle of the stairs, and also take damage. Sorry about that again. I just turned on Do Not Disturb. But anyways, so that being said, I thought Resident Evil on the PlayStation had an amazing time. Okay? You have 3 different games giving you 3 different types of experiences. And by the way, I've heard that Resident Evil 3 was actually inspired by, lo and behold, Terminator 2, where this stalking enemy was basically modeled off, or the idea was modeled off of Liquid Metal, the T-1000, the Robert Patrick character. And you guys know that I am a Terminator fan as well, and I did not like Dark Fate. Like, as I'm a classic, the classic Terminator fan. Okay, but here is where Resident Evil, I felt they came to a creative roadblock. I would say they did not know exactly where to go. Okay. Because the next game that I played, not that was released or whatever, the next game, maybe the next thing that that was released, but the next game that I played on the PlayStation 2, I did not have a Dreamcast. No. On the PlayStation 2 was Code Veronica. Okay. And first thing, my impression was, you know what? The models look much better. The character models, the Claire and the Steve. No, yeah, Steve. Yeah. Oh no, wait, no, wait. Steve's new character, Chris. Yeah, the returning to Claire and Chris. The Redfield siblings. Yeah, their models look pretty good. Okay, the background rendering was also pretty good. In fact, it reminded me of Dino Crisis. I played the first Dino Crisis before I played Resident Evil, but then like Dino Crisis, I just realized like okay, it's a bit too different for me, and it's just not for me. And also, it feels like Resident Evil with dinosaurs, but apparently the AI is actually much smarter than that. They can actually like follow you when you go from room to room. But I didn't play the game long enough to actually have that immersive experience. So that was good. You had a few added features. The weapons and the items, were I believe were 3D rendered because you could actually rotate them and whatnot. Okay. The voice acting in the first four Resident Evil, I will say the best voice acting that I remember was Resident Evil 3 because you have to pick up on sound cues, especially like me being visually impaired, right? Um, like I pick up on a lot of variety of like audio inflections and whatnot. What I liked about Resident Evil 3 is that Jill not only acted like she's seen this before. This is not her first rodeo. She also sounded like it, and she also sounded like she was not that afraid of the nemesis. Like after let's say one or two encounters. In fact, like sometimes you will think that she's trying to actually outsmart nemesis. And just to get back on Resident Evil 3, when you have a nuclear warhead come in and destroy a city, that was the ending of Resident Evil 3. A nuclear warhead came in and destroyed Raccoon City. That technically should be the end of a series because I don't think it gets any more intense than having a nuclear explosion wiping out an entire city because the infection is too large to be contained and everyone to be cured one by one. So just kill them all. Resident Evil 4, it took a few steps backward, and one of the more specific steps was that it went back to a bit of a Resident Evil 2 type of gameplay mechanic where you get that invincibility bubble again whilst climbing up and down stairs. And yes, they modified their attacks and whatnot. Like they had different effects for the attacks, and you had like double-handed weapons where you could actually swap. You could actually switch your aim. You could actually switch your aim like where you're going to focus your fire and whatnot. And they added a few extra things as well. Like this is something I did not realize until I saw a playthrough of Resident Evil and like some one-on-one facts or 50 facts or 25 facts and whatnot. Like some of the things that they added, like for example, what's that dude's name? Steve Burnside. If you take too long to rescue Steve from the gas chamber or from the chamber behind the bookcase or whatnot, whilst he's trying to get the Lugers, he'll actually come out a bit different. He'll actually come out flat on his face. So things like that I did not realize actually existed in the game, and it changed the cutscene by a little bit. But after that, they actually hit an absolute home run with Resident Evil 4. And I personally feel that is the most balanced Resident Evil that I have played ever since. Because I tried to play Resident Evil 5. It was like, they tried to make it a bit more action oriented. I didn't feel right about that game, because Resident Evil, yeah, it can be action oriented, but you need to have those times to breathe as well. So that time was a little bit missing compared to Resident Evil 4, and that is where I played the last Resident Evil. 6, 7, Village, Revelations 2. No, I did not play them. I might have seen the cutscenes here and there. 0, I did not play. Outbreak and Outbreak File 2 I played, and I thought they had some potential with the story. But, that's neither here or there. I thought, like, it was a bit overpriced for, for a Resident Evil game. Like, if you're going to pay like $60 for that, it's not worth that. But this video is going to mostly focus on Resident Evil Code Veronica, because there is some rumors or some desire out there to remake Resident Evil Code Veronica like they did Resident Evil 1, Resident Evil 2, Resident Evil 3, with like new voice actors for Leon, Sherry, Claire, Chief Irons, Ada, Jill, yeah, I think Jill as well. So, Jill, Carlos, yeah, they did some good jobs there, but here's my problem with Resident Evil Code Veronica, like, the voice acting. Okay, first of all, the best performer was clearly Jubilee from X-Men. Okay, because that's the only other place I know where she worked. I don't know what little comfy couch or big comfy couch or medium comfy couch is. I don't know what that is. I know X-Men. I know she played Jubilee from X-Men. Okay, she's Allison Court. I think she's like like when she started voicing Claire, she was like 20 something. Okay, the remainder, however, oh my god, I couldn't be bothered to look up who voiced Chris, who voiced Wesker, who voiced Alexia, who voiced Alfred, who voiced anyone else. I couldn't be bothered, because everyone else's voice acting was so bad. And it's not like this is Claire's moment in the sun, or sorry, Alison Court's moment in the sun with Claire Redfield. No. There were some deficiencies in this as well. But the biggest problem I have with Resident Evil Code Veronica, and why I feel that, it deserves a lot of the flack that it gets. Because when there is a big trend, right, you have to actually look like what the actual argument is. And when people say the game was particularly hard, I did not find it hard. I found it tedious. Just like I found Doom Thy Flesh Consumed, that expansion, to be tedious, not hard. Okay, like Doom Eternal is hard. Or like the Doom 2016, if you're facing like the Spider Mastermind or the Cyber Demon, they're not hard, they're tedious. Like, you have to get the process right. The voice acting I already went over. Allison Court carried the game on her vocal cords, like in terms of the story. Okay, the music was actually very good. I will give Code Veronica this, especially in the classic Resident Evils. The Code Veronica music is very good. Okay. And here is where I come to the biggest problem I have with Resident Evil Code Veronica. It's the story. Okay, so in case you missed it, 3 months after the events of Resident Evil 2, Claire Redfield goes searching for her brother and ends up in an umbrella facility in Paris, of all places, where she's running across a hallway and people are shooting behind her in every direction except for the direction that she's running in. Even the helicopter with the Gatling gun has this problem that, they have to make sure they're shooting right behind her, but not in front of her. Well, helicopters can turn a little to the left anyways. Okay. So after this weird type of action sequence where Claire shoots a fire hydrant or something and for some reason does not shoot the person holding her at gunpoint, and after that 10 days she gets taken to some type of island in the southern hemisphere and where the power goes out, and what the hell does this have to do with the game? I mean, there's a bleeding wounded guy coming in. Why do they zoom in on her lips? What does that signify? What does that indicate? That she has dry mouth or something? Or she needs a glass of water? And yes, I'm sorry, I'm using the version of the game that gives everyone radioactive eyes. I don't know. This game has been ported and butchered in its porting so many times, I just don't care anymore. Okay, and then you escape and you have a Claire character that is a bit more mature, which is actually good to see, like, Jill Valentine style, like she wasn't jumping out of her boots every moment. So this is good to see that she sort of knew what to expect, especially once she saw the zombies coming after her. And then you come across a guy who, oh my god, he sounds, and I'm sorry, I don't mean to offend anyone, this is just as a joke, but good lord, he sounds so Canadian that I am surprised that he is not animated South Park Canadian style with the split head. I mean, just take a look.
Sorry about sorry. Damn, I'm sorry. I don't know.
From here, the story kind of goes downhill, and Claire is still looking for her brother in a way of sorts, but mostly trying to get off the island. Well, what did you expect? You didn't have a plan. You just randomly showed up like, hey, where's my brother? Oh crap, now I gotta get out of here. Then you have Alfred Ashford. I have no idea what to make of this person. But at least this was back in the day when even Canadians used to say things like,
Alfred, you cross-dressing freak!
Which was sweet. And this actually showed a mature sign of Claire that, she's actually starting to get frustrated with all of this, and, you could actually see her anger coming through. Then you also have Wesker coming through, but his involvement is a bit more with the Chris chapter of the story, I believe, which actually makes a lot of sense because Wesker and Claire did not meet before this, and they don't have that much of a history. So it would make more sense for Wesker to be involved with the Chris chapter of the story. But Steve Burnside, oh my god. Listen, I know he is 17, okay? I was 17. I had friends who were 17. I have encountered many situations where there is attraction to the opposite sex, and this was when I was 17 and observed people going through this phenomena who were 17. They don't act like this. They don't act like this. Even for them, this is so cringe. But here are some parts where they actually dropped the ball, and they could have expanded upon this so much instead of having such cold expressions. And they tried with Dark Side Chronicles, but the problem with Dark Side Chronicles is they made Claire less mature. They made her a bit too corny, which I had a problem with, because you're in a life or death situation. You shouldn't be that corny. But eventually, you could say that Steve starts to warm up to Claire.
You stay here and make preparations for takeoff.
Fist bump? Really? Fist bump?
Come on, dude. Fist bump.
But the absolute point when I was absolutely gobsmacked is when I saw this. And keep in mind, I was about 14 or 13 at that time when I played this. And I thought, wait a minute. This is not how flirting works. This is not how getting a girl works. I'm like, I'm in a very conservative society. We're in a boys' school. And I know this. That this is absolutely not how flirting or getting a girl works. And that's another problem with this game. See, when they did this in Resident Evil 2, they were a bit more aware of the situation between Leon and Ada. Okay? Leon started to like Ada, but Leon did not turn into a twerp liking Ada. Okay, did not try to do this weird thing. Leon was still a police officer trying to help out a civilian, and he remembered that, and he made sure to make Ada remember that as well. But in this game, oh my god. Okay, and then if this wasn't bad enough, in the Antarctica scenario, you get this weird clips like
Steve, watch out!
And by that I mean keep looking at me.
and I'm like, wait, what am I playing? I'm playing Resident Evil? I was thinking, this is more cheesy than a Bollywood movie. This is more cheesy than a mid-90s Bollywood movie before Ghulam, before Hera Fairy. This is more cheesy than a late 80s Bollywood movie. And I thought to myself, whose idea was it to put a love story in a Resident Evil game? I'm like, okay, I understand and I like the development in Claire Redfield's personality, where she became a lot more mature and she started taking control of situations and whatnot, and she also started to find a way to work with Steve, someone who's that annoying.
I swear I'll protect you next time, Claire.
Wait, what?
I swear I'll protect you next time, Claire.
Oh my god. Oh my, it's so Bollywood. It's so cheesy and Bollywood. Oh my god.
I swear I'll protect you
that
next time,
facial expression, that line, that dialogue. I'm sorry. I'll need some help with this one. Okay? I think the Bolly critic needs to come back for a cameo. Hold on, let me fetch him. Yes. Thank you. Thank you, my friend, Mr. Dragon. Thank you. Alright, wait. What are you reviewing? Resident Evil Code Veronica. Oh, yes! Perfect! Indian recipe Resident Evil. Winning formula. You go Indian, you go Bollywood, you will always make profit. I will explain very basic logic. How this is Indian Resident Evil. This is Sunny Deol. This is Karishma Kapoor. This is Salman Khan. And this is Amresh Puri. In fact, I prepare song that will perfect encapsulate this moment.
धरती पे चाहे जहाँ भी रहेगी तुझे तेरी खुशबू से पहचान लूँगा अगर बंद हो जाएंगी मेरी आँखें अगर बंद हो जाएंगी मेरी आँखें तुझे तेरी धड़कन से पहचान लूँगा
Cross-dressing freak!
Full Indian package in this game. Great success. Thank you, Mr. Bolly Critic, aka Blind Man Reviews. Hopefully your YouTube channel will get more subscribers soon. But that completely encapsulates the point that this game is so corny and cheesy. Once again, whose idea was it to turn Resident Evil into a cheesy Bollywood movie, Final Fantasy style game in terms of the story?
I don't know.
And then we get this.
You're warm.
Steve, you've got to hang in there, okay? My brother's come to save us. We're getting out of here.
I mean, honestly, I had a friend who's actually now up in Canada right now. So you know who you are if you're watching this. He actually said the lines before they were delivered.
Your brother kept his promise.
I'm sorry, I cannot.
I'm sorry, I cannot.
And this is the part where, yeah, I've seen a lot of the YouTube reactions, the comment reactions, like, you know, this is the saddest moment in the games of Resident Evil. And I can see why. I can see why. Okay? Even compared to Dark Side Chronicles. Dark Side Chronicles was not a love story. Claire had no idea Steve had lovey-dovey feelings. Okay? Steve doesn't get to say it.
Steve?
But in this one, you can see that Claire just found out that Steve basically died for him because he loves her or something like that. Okay. Although they could do a bit better with the animation, because the way he let go of her hand is like, oh, alright, I'm done with my lines. I'm out of here. I'm like, you're holding your supposed love interest's hand with your dying breath. You're not shaking hands and okay, now the handshaking sequence is over, so let go. And this scene, Alison Court carried this entire scene on her vocal cords.
Steve, you've got to hang in there, okay? My brother's come to save us. We're getting out of here. What are you saying? Steve? Steve?
And the music actually is done pretty well as well. And this is the one of the very few parts which I will say is done better than Dark Side Chronicles, apart from Claire being more corny. Or Claire being more annoying. In this, Claire is not annoying. Claire is just trying to survive, you know, with some maturity. So she actually acts like someone who's like 20 or 21. In Dark Side Chronicles, she acts like she's 15. In Dark Side Chronicles, another thing I liked is that the Alfred character was actually a lot more sinister. He actually came off as a lot more evil. And there's where I felt Capcom missed a trick entirely. Capcom could have made this guy to be a very evil villain. But in the end, they turned him into someone who is just obsessed with his cloned sister. Like, okay, this is Resident Evil Solid now? Like Metal Gear Solid, Resident Evil Solid now. Okay. But getting back to Code Veronica. Initially, when I played this game, I didn't think much of it. I'm like, okay, Claire trying to escape. Claire gets captured. Twerpy guy starts to fall in love with Claire. Chris comes to the rescue. Steve dies saying that he loves Claire, and Claire cries, and Claire cries some more, and Claire says, "Don't die on me."
You have to make it. Don't die on me.
Because someone already died on her just like 5 minutes ago. Then you have final confrontation between Wesker and Chris. And then you have another cheesy line.
Chris!
Hey, you know that I always keep my promises.
Oh my god. Please, no more cheese. It's so much cheese. It's obesity, like medically dangerous obesity inducing. Okay, but I thought nothing of this game and I kind of enjoyed this game. But after going back and watching the clips again, why people don't like this game, and after my brain having matured, watching other media like games like Time Splitters, watching South Park, Batman, here are my thought patterns watching all these scenes again.
Sorry about that little misunderstanding.
Buddy?
I said I was sorry.
Friend?
Don't worry, Claire. Your knight in shining armor is here.
That is Sir Juvenile.
Claire, I'm sorry.
What's sorry? Well, that's what Canadians say to express remorse.
It looks like there's an Australian observation base about 7 miles away from here.
Guy?
I swear I'll protect you next time, Claire.
Fuck, buddy!
What's wrong?
Claire! Can't breathe! Claire! Help me! Claire!
Really? Really? You're gonna make me go there? Okay. You know I'm a Batman fan. I'm gonna go there.
No! No! The Venom! Can't stop it! You can't do this to me! I am invincible! I am Spain!
V505. I smell craft in it. That's the giant! Scott!
Oh, nothing. Just a giant cockroach that had to be stepped on.
Giant cockroach, huh? I'll show you, giant cockroach!
Time to have your head smashed in with my new hammer.
I'm sorry, I cannot.
You don't got to be sorry. It's me who should be sorry.
I love you.
In Canada, we call it slow Cosby love.
So basically, to conclude, if Code Veronica X or Code Veronica gets remade, they will need to take care of a few things. First, whoever's voicing Claire Redfield right now, and I have seen the lines and the voice acting, I facepalmed, honestly. The moment she said there would be a hell of a first date, I facepalmed. I'm like, good lord. I'm pretty sure Alison Court facepalmed as well. If she actually resonated with the Claire Redfield character at all in terms of the character and the dialogue writing, that is not something any version of Claire Redfield would say. And they have to fix that going into Resident Evil Code Veronica, the remake. Second, better voice acting from everyone else. Third, gameplay, okay, maintain the same gameplay from the RE2, RE3 remakes and whatnot, or even, take some from Resident Evil 8, because I heard that the RE engine is actually doing pretty good. And, they're actually incorporating some elements of Doom Eternal, apparently, which is good. Just don't make it incredibly impossible to see like Doom Eternal. Okay. Next, make Alfred a much more menacing villain. In fact, if you have to rewrite this, I would say keep Alfred alive and have him as the final boss in a very difficult situation instead of, Mosquito Girl, the Dragonfly Girl, Alexia, or whatnot. And yeah, like, for some reason she infects only men. Like, infect Steve, man. Her father, man. I think trying to infect Alfred as well, man. Well, does the V stand for Veronica or something else? Anyways, so make Alfred and Alexia more menacing villains. And finally, please fix the Steve character. I'm sorry, Darkside Chronicles did not fix him. Okay? A moment like this.
Steve.
Father.
I killed my father.
It needed to have so much more gravity. Because he just lost the last member of his family. And this is what they leave it to? And there is no effect of this whatsoever prominently in his personality. In fact, the only time you see his personality change is when he starts developing, all of a sudden, mind you, feelings for Claire. All of a sudden happen over the Antarctic Ocean, apparently. Or flying over the Antarctic. Please fix that. Okay? You have family loss games, many of them out there. Okay? Prominent ones are The Last of Us, and you could even say God of War. Take a little bit from them if you need to. Put that into this and flush out the relationship between whoever the Steve person is going to be. At this point, even if it's a woman, I don't mind. Okay, just don't make it a twerp. Flush that relationship out between the Steve character and Claire. And just as an added incentive, if they go with someone else other than Steve, let's say a guy called John or Mark or Alex or something, and if another guy called Steve shows up who's also human, can you please introduce him like this?
Hey, you're no zombie!
Yeah, I'm aware of that.
That would be so awesome. And as for Claire Redfield, I'm sorry, Capcom have written Claire Redfield into a dead end. After Code Veronica, they did not know what to do with Claire, I feel, because they went back to Resident Evil 2, they went back to Resident Evil Code Veronica, then they went to Resident Evil Degeneration, then they went to Resident Evil 2 again. With Operation Raccoon City, I'm like, good lord, Team Ninja and Tecmo, I don't think they remade Dead or Alive 5 this many times. Then Resident Evil had to reboot their PlayStation 1 games. And after that, you had Resident Evil Revelations, which honestly, I don't know what to make of the Claire character. I'm like, yeah, she's a Terra save, then she gets kidnapped with Barry Burton's daughter or something like that, and the story is a bit more about Molly Burton and Barry Burton than it is about Claire, which is good, but they never concluded Claire's story. Leon, on the other hand, Leon had a fascinating run in the Resident Evil franchise. Absolutely fascinating. Because when it comes to cool factor, everyone likes Leon. Or for the most part, they like Leon. Because his character has gone through a very good development cycle. Unfortunately, we did not see this with Claire, but that's Capcom's problem. And once again, with the remakes, they remade the PlayStation games again with the RE remake, the RE2 remake, and the RE3 remake. So, like I said, the developers, especially when it comes to Claire Redfield, they don't know what they're doing with her. Okay, it's kind of like back when I used to watch WWE. There used to be a guy called Antonio Cesaro. Vince McMahon did not know what to do with him. All the talent, but did not know what to do with him. So anyways, those are my thoughts on the whole drive for remaking Code Veronica and the Resident Evil franchise as it is. Please hit that like, subscribe, and bell notification buttons. It's your boy, the Blue Side, the Big Old Dragon, signing out.